Alrighty. Greetings, rise up, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, boys and girls, friends, frenemies, and you very vigilant agents. This is Brother Marley. This is the Gambia 1 channel. This is the Gambia, looking green and gorgeous as usual. And, I wanted to have a quick powwow with you. There's been some drama, some tete-a-tete, some issues, some things going on here in the Gambia that you should be made aware of. So I'm just going to give my point of view. Whoa, and then he fell down into the grass. Put my point of view here from the from the space is so luxurious, from the car park outside former Dream Park, also known as Hendon House, also known as the home of Mo2. Alright, so anyway, thoughts from the car park. There are lots of people who come here looking for land, and I'm going to tell you a little story about when I was helping some people buy some land here and what I went through, and then I'm going to use that as a context to talk about other people who are looking for land here, and people who have been using them. So there were 3 sisters. I'm talking like their past tense. There are 3 sisters who bought some land over in Sanyang, another brother as well. And all around the same time they said to me, yeah, we want to buy land in Sanyang. All right, cool. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I've got these 4 plots to get the paperwork for these 4 different groups of people. Best thing for me to do is try and get the 4 done simultaneously, right? So go up to the office, get the paperwork paid for, get the paperwork, put together, get the man who's doing the sketch plan put together, do it all at one time, so that way I'm not running up and down as much as I could be. All right, so now you have physical planning and the area council. They're both in the same area, a town called Bukama, which is around about 15 miles that way, right? Then you have Banjul area council, which is about Banjul physical planning, is about 15 miles that way. All right, so we go and look at the land at different times. They don't know each other at the time. At different points in time, we go and look at the land, and everyone's like, oh, this is lovely, I like the land, I can see myself being here, I could do this, make that, build a building here, blah blah blah. Everyone's very excited. So everyone buys their plot. So I go ahead and speak to the current owner of the land. The owner of the land is like, it's old family land. It's not like, this is passed from one person to another person. This is like family owned this from the beginning of Gambia, and we've still got it to this day, so we can sell it, and there's not no chain or people trying to collect money in a whole line of previous owners. This is very good land at rock bottom prices I'm offering people. Okay. So I give them the prices. They're like, oh yeah, that's cheap, that's good, that's a good price. Everyone's happy with it. They go ahead with the purchases, right? So now I have 4 bits of money for 4 bits of land. If you look back at my previous videos, you'll see there was a video I did it would have been like, I can't remember exactly the date, but it was probably like December last year. And I'm talking about going to the bank at 6 o'clock in the morning to go and pay the fees for this paperwork, for this land, right? But if you look at the paper, if you look closely, if you zoom in and look closely on the paperwork, you'll see that it actually has the date of June the previous year. So there has been a long period of time between buying the land and getting the Alcalu paper. That comes very quickly. You buy the land, you sign a paper, hand it over. Okay, go do the rest of the paperwork yourself. That's all very, very good. What I did was I spoke to a young man over in Bukama, and I said to him, look, I need you to do the sketch plan for these pieces of land. Pardon me. The sketch plan is a map of the local area, and that map of the local area will highlight the plot of land that person owns, right? So then when we're looking at the paperwork, we can also see the piece of land that paperwork refers to. All right. It also has GPS coordinates on there. Well, not GPS. It has map coordinates on there. The map is held with the physical planning office, and it's not something that you could look on your Google Maps and see. So what you need to do, if you go so as a little buy thing, if you need to go and buy land here, and I show you a place, stand in the middle of your plot and go on Google Maps and pin where you are, so you know exactly where your plot is, regardless of what goes on, because you cannot use the coordinates on the paperwork to find your plot. And you know what? Once you go outside of this area, outside of these roads and so on and so forth, one bush looks like exactly like another bush. Why does God make so much noise? So that's what happens, right? I take the money, I go and get the paperwork done, and the date on the paperwork is dated a month before, because I had 6 months before, because I had asked for a young man to go and do the sketch plans for me. Which he said, yeah, of course I'll do it. That's what I get paid for. I'm an agent. I can do that. Yeah, it's easy. Blah, blah, blah. So he goes off to do that. Fast forward 3 months. I call him like, yo, how's the paperwork? It's fine, no problem. You sure? Yeah, everything's cool. All right, great. So, job's done, right? I fly back to the UK. And before I fly back to the UK, I go to see him and say, where's that paperwork? He says, oh, I cannot find it. I gave it to this girl in the office to stamp, and she got married. I went to her wedding, but now she's on maternity leave, and so I cannot get it. I've got like 2 weeks before I've got to go back to London, right? So I'm like, okay, look, hurry up. Go and call the girl, speak to the girl, and get the thing. All right, yeah, I'll call her. Sorry, I tried to call her, and she's not picking up the phone. The family are saying that she's not well, and so I can't get your paperwork. So I've gone back to London for a couple of months. I come back again to go and find this paperwork from this man. He says, meet me over in Banjul. So Banjul is 15 miles that way, isn't it? So I've gone this way, now I've got to go Banjul that way. And I see the young man there in the office. I have someone with me who speaks Wolof but was born in the UK. So he's got the same accent as I do. They don't know that we know what they're saying, right? So now he gets on the phone, he phones up some lady, and he starts talking to her about paperwork. Puts the phone down and she says that she's lost it, she hasn't got it. I turned to my friend, what did he say? He said that the lady said to him, I do not cover that area. I do not know what you're talking about. I do not have your paperwork. Stop calling me. So it's all just nonsense. It's raining. I don't know if you can see the rain, but it's actually raining right now. This is rainy season, man. Every guy sit in a car. You want to come in the car? Let's sit in the car. Come in. In the dust bucket called my car. Let's see. Okay, so bloody hell, it's hot in here. Let me crack a window. Oh yeah. That's better. Let me put this on this holder. Okay, I think it's about right. So yeah, so he says that the girl has lost the paperwork. She says, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop asking me about this paperwork. That is not my area. Leave me out of it. This is the kind of drama you deal with. So now one of the sisters who I'm buying land for says, speak to this other person who's also in physical planning in that same office. He's a second in command. He also helped a friend of mine buy some land. He will do it for you. He's very good. He's very approachable. Okay, so cool. We'll go with this other man. So we call this other guy and we ask him, look, can you help us with this land? He says, yeah, I can help you with the land. It's going to cost you X amount. So he goes to do the land now. A week later on, he's like, your paperwork is done. Come and collect it. All right. So this is a bit of a difficult beginning, but it's fine now. It's finished. So I go to pick up the paperwork. He gives me the sketch plans. Here you go. I go off to the area council. So now I've got to leave Banjul 50 miles over there. I know it's a bit weird because now I'm pointing in the same direction, opposite directions from where I was pointing before, but now I've got my back to the main road, innit? So got to go from Banjul this way up to Brikama, 30 miles easy, boom. Do that to go and collect to go and register this purchase. So the man's looking at the paperwork like this. This is not Sanyang. This is not the right area. This paperwork does not belong to this thing. This is a fraud. I'm like, it's a F. You're using the F word? Yes, it's a fraud. This paperwork that you're holding, this sketch plan you're holding, doesn't relate to the paperwork you are holding. And I was like, how do you know that? And he shows me these things. Like, he shows me like, this part's missing. This should be, you have this here. That's not there. For those of you who are buying land, right? What he was saying was, it should have on the paperwork the name of the person who is doing the actual sketch plan. It should have their phone number and their signature. They sign it to say it's completed and they've done it. If it doesn't have that, you know it's a fraud. Also, on that paperwork, it should have the town and the area and the region within that, what that paperwork is for. So if you don't have those two bits of information, as well as the name of the new owner, you know there's a fraud there. You know something's going on. And he showed me like how quite clearly this man had taken a bit of paper, cut strips, and then placed it over the name and then photocopied it. So they weren't brand new. They were photocopies of some previous sketch plan he had done and just said, yeah, it's finished, here's your paperwork. So now I'm going back now and trying to make good on this promise of this paperwork for these 4 people. I have 4 people's money, don't I? And we're now about 9 months since they bought the land. It's drama. You know when you have 4 different sets of black people vex at you, calling you all kinds of names, you know how stressful that is? So I'm like, well, the best thing I could do is stay in contact with everybody. Don't shut down. Just tell them what's going on. Look, I went to the man said the paperwork is done, it's not done. The man said the paperwork is done. Turns out that the sister that he was dealing with says she don't know anything about it. So I'm going through this whole process. We go to a 3rd brother now to do the sketch plan for these lands. He's very cool and calm. He's like, yeah, man, yeah, I could do this. He talks like Owen Wilson. You know Owen Wilson? Wow, that Owen Wilson, right? He's like, Molly, yeah, everything's fine. I can get your things done for you. He hasn't got an American accent. He hasn't got an Owen Wilson accent, but he sounds like Owen Wilson. So anyway, this man goes to the land. He's got out his tape measure. He's like, yeah, this is the right size, and it goes to here, which is correct. Yeah. So he's real kind of like, he's brilliant. I'm like, this is the man I need. I'm in. I'm good. We'll finally get our paperwork. It's only 9 months late. It's not so bad. I'm telling the people then, here's what's going on. They're like, you're one of those scammers. I'm not a scammer. I'm just trying to do the paperwork. Leave me alone. I'm trying to work. Hey. So me and this Owen Wilson bloke, we go back and forth on the land. He says, I need 2 weeks to finish the paperwork. I'm like, all right, bro, take your 2 weeks. After 9 months, what's an extra 2 weeks? It's fine. 2 weeks come. Hey, Mali, come pick up your papers. Yeah, I'm there. Boom. Got back to Sanyang. That's where he's based, isn't it? So I got to Sanyang, get the paperwork from him. He's like, I've only got 3 of the 4. I haven't got the 4th one. Why have you not got the 4th one? Well, because of the land of the person next door. Their GPS coordinates go into the land of the paperwork of the land piece that you have. So there is a discrepancy in ownership. So I'm trying to figure that out, and at the same time trying to figure out, how do I tell this poor sister who's been waiting for 9 months that her land has a discrepancy on it because someone next door, their GPS coordinates in the wrong place. So I go and tell her, right? By this point, the owners of the 3 bits of land, they all now know each other. So now we're doing group calls with all of them, 3 of them and me, right? The 3 sisters know each other. The brother does know them. All right, so 2 of the sisters are like, look, we'll get our paperwork done together, right? We all got our land at the same time, so we'll get it done together. Okay, fine. But as this thing is drawing out longer and longer, because I'm talking to this Owen Wilson guy, I'm like, who did the paperwork of the original one that's wrong? That's me, man. Well, bruh, you got to fix it, innit? Because you did it, you dealt it, you fix it. I need more money. So he wants more money too. So he's the 3rd man that I've been given the money for the paperwork for 1 set, and now 3 times, and now I've paid for the paperwork for 3 sets 3 times. I'm spitting, I'm so angry. So I'm like, okay, you want me to pay for the thing and you want me to pay for you to fix the other paperwork? Yeah, man. All right, okay. So I deal with him. I give him the payment for the work that he's done for us, but I haven't paid him for him fixing the new one. And I tell the sisters, this man needs to get paid for his work. They're all like upset. Why am I paying and I have to pay again for? I'm paying for his mistake. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is what it is. So they dutifully pay up, take the money, hand it all over to him, right? He goes off and says, okay, I'll fix it. All right, so he goes to fix it. Week goes past, 2 weeks go past, 3 weeks. I'm like, it's a month. I'm calling him. He's not picking up the phone. They're calling me. Why is there no update? It's been a month. I'm like, there's no update because I've not had no update. And I'm calling him for him to answer me and tell me what's going on. He's not picking up his phone. So I fly up to Sanyang to go and see him, right? Go to his house to go and pick him up, to meet him and go, what's going on? His son opens the door. No, my dad's not here, man. I'm like, you sound like your dad. Yeah, man. All right, shoot. So I'm like, all right, I'm now looking for this man. Turns out, even though he's up by Brikama, he works in Banjul. So one day he says, come to me in Banjul and you can pick up your paperwork. Okay. I'll go down there. He says, come at 9. I get there at 8. I get there, I'm there before you're even due to be there. Somehow I burst my tire whilst they're in the office, and the blood pressure is now getting to me, it's right up here. So I'm like, where's my paperwork? He's like, hey, easy guy, it's not my fault, man, it's not my fault. So he says, come tomorrow, because you're late now, come tomorrow. I was like, come tomorrow, okay. So I go and fix my tire, come back the next day, where's my paperwork? He says, I'm busy in a meeting, I can't meet you. So I'm like, it's your idea for us to meet today. How can you not meet me and you're in another meeting because you're supposed to be meeting me? All right. So what I decided to do is I'm gonna wait for him in his office. I'm not even gonna wait for him outside. I'm gonna wait for him in his office. I walk into his office. This fool has got earpiece in and he's watching a recording on his phone saying, I'm studying. I cannot talk to you right now because I've got this recording on my phone, I'm studying. Man, so we are now like a year in now. We're like a year behind when we should have done this paperwork. Everyone's vexed. What happened after that? So after all of that, right? He gives me some of the paperwork, but that one I spoke about that was next to the man whose GPS coordinates were inside her land, that one's not done. So he says that he has to go and correct that with physical planning. I hope my story will make sense. It might be a bit choppy, might not actually make complete. It's all what happened, but it may not be in the correct order. I understand there's a lot of talking, and this is a very abbreviated version of it. How long have we been talking for? 21 minutes. How to talk about a 1.5 year issue in 20 minutes. Yeah, it may not all be chronologically correct, but it's what happened. So here I am, like, trying to get this man to give me the last piece of paperwork. And again, I'm ringing his phone. He's not picking up the phone, I'm taking my wife's phone, calling him, yo. He's like, hello? He goes, hey, hello. I'm like, yeah, it's me. Where's my paperwork? Oops. And he put the phone down. I'm like, really? I call on the business line, on the shop line. Yeah, hello. I'm like, let me be nice. Brother, how are you? It's me. Your long lost brother Marley. I've called to find out about the paperwork. Can I have it now? He's like, yeah, I'll have it for you, but just not now. So I'm like, why are you sounding more like you sound more like some Southern Dixie. The Gambian. He's like, not now, man, not now, man. So I'm like, all right, player, do your paperwork. He does his paperwork. He says, I'm calling him to meet up with him. He's not picking up his phone. One of these days, I'm in the car calling him, and I noticed someone down the road. It was just so funny that I called, and as the person picked up on the phone, this person has picked up their phone on the road. I'm like, is that him? So he's there on the road. I've just clocked him just by accident. So I stop him. I stop the car, and I'm like, why are you not answering my phone calls or telling me you're busy or putting the phone down on me when I'm trying to talk to you about the paperwork that you said you can fix? He goes into this whole thing, and I recorded the conversation. I don't think I've got it anymore, but I recorded it and then sent it to the sister whose land we was talking about. He said to me that he believes the head of physical planning is trying to not give land to black Americans and black British, is what he said. And that's why the paperwork ain't done. Now, I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm not here to cast any aspersions or conspiracies, but what I will say is that it was very difficult getting this land paperwork. Very, very difficult. And that was his only explanation. It's not my fault, it's his fault. So I go down to the Karma and I go meet the man myself. I said, hello sir, I have some paperwork. It's been here for 9 months. He says, we're working on it. No, hold on, I haven't finished. It's being processed. Bro, let me finish. Whatever you say is being processed. We're working on it. I'm like, looking around his office, and he's got stacks of papers everywhere. I'm like, you're not processing this. Look how much there is. It's being processed. He put bass in his voice now. Like I'm like, oh shit. So this drama carries on for another few months. We are like a year and 6 months since we started, since those people gave me money. And finally, I had all the paperwork. It was all signed, all stamped, all taxed, all completed. The important thing is to stay in touch with your people. Don't fob people off, because people will get upset. And the worst possible scenario is the one they jump to. It was not easy. And before you start calling me ask you to help you find land, I ain't doing no more. No, I sell chicken. Don't ask me for no flipping land help. Don't do that. Leave me alone. No, don't call me. It was so stressful trying to get this paperwork, and how long it took, and the excuses, and the fork tongue business, and the nonsense that goes on in land purchase in this country. And then me, I'm supposed to be like the buffer and be able to provide a service to these brothers and sisters over in the UK. Now, I do that regularly here at Motu. At Motu, suppliers come when they feel like it. You know, Fishman comes when he can, and you know, it's all very kind of ad hoc. But at the front end, I've got to try and provide a seamless, high level, high quality service for customers. And most times it works. Sometimes we slip. Sometimes, like, you know, food takes too long to come out or something like that. People complain. But for the most part, we do. But trying to do that with the whole land thing is a whole nother kettle of fish. When people are spending thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars with you, and they're like, I've heard about you lot in you YouTubers. I've heard about you lot in Gambia, and I'm like, please don't put me in the same, paint me with the same brush as those people you've heard about. I've given you my word. I will not let you down. I'm going to keep trying as best I can. And finally, after 18, maybe 19 months, we got the paperwork done. Everyone is okay with their paperwork. One brother, he got his paperwork done up until you have to pay the taxes. But when I said to him, yeah, it's time to pay the taxes, he's like, I don't trust you with a single penny more, because the last time I gave you money, you didn't give me nothing. So I'm not paying you no taxes. Give me my paperwork as it is. I'm like, all right, cool. DHL that. So I DHL the paperwork, and his missus came over just the other day, and she picked up the originals, and she's continuing the journey herself. So the others, they paid their tax. I was able to do the whole work. Whereas that one brother, he was like, he cut it just before the taxes needed to be paid. Which, and from his point of view, I understand that. From my point of view, I was glad to get rid of the paperwork and be like, look, that's fine by me. You don't want to do no more. Take your paperwork. Leave me alone. So that's what we did. All right. And that brings me on to the other subject. That is of other people who've had trouble trying to get people having problems getting land. Sorry about that. There's been other people who had problems getting land. I understand that, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. Why is my car taking so long to move? Okay, my car is acting up. Oh, Lord. You know, it's kind of difficult trying to, as you can see from my story, it can be very, very difficult trying to set up a purchase of land here. And I haven't told you everything. I haven't told you about how on one trip I was driving and the car went into a big puddle and it ruined my gearbox and I couldn't move. And for a long time, people was asking me, yo, why are you not going to get the paperwork or anything? And I'm like, because I've got no car. And no one's understanding that, you know, trying to take a 30-mile or a 15-mile trip by the local bus Ah, that's why my handbrake was off. I thought my car was acting weird, but my handbrake was on. That was clever, innit? Nobody seems to understand that like 15 miles in local public transport is not the one. It's very difficult to get done, and what I found was that, you know, when I go out to go and meet people, they're not there anyway. Even though they're going to be there, even though they make plans, they'll give you excuses to why they can't go. So I didn't go into like everything that happened. I didn't tell you about the time when I tried to go on my little scooter and my scooter engine blew up on the way there, and then I had to get someone to tow me for like, I don't know, 20 miles on a scooter. It was no fun. Stuff that happens, right? Anyway, these are the kind of things that we deal with here in the Gambia. Now, for those of you who've, you know, got land, I know I've been seeing the videos that have been coming out where people have used certain ones over here to help them purchase land, and then they've not got the land, or they felt like they've not got the land. A bit of advice for you, okay? Just because you don't have that paperwork in your hand, it doesn't mean that everything is off. It's not going to work. It could be that it's going to take longer than usual. It could be that you could be waiting a year and a half, even longer maybe. I met one man, 5 years. He was Gambian, but he was Gambian living in Washington. It took him 5 years to get his paperwork. I met this man, he almost cried when he got his stamp. He almost cried. I understood, I nearly cried for him as well. It was so emotional. So I understand how distressing it is, especially with something like that, like, you know, where this is a dream purchase. There's so much emotion and juice behind why you want this purchase. I understand that. But I would say that, you know, take a look at the people who you're doing business with. You know, if they seem the type that will go and that they're going to finance their life by robbing you, then don't do business with them. If they seem like they're too exposed, like too well known to be trying to run their life and their purchases by nefarious dealings with people from the diaspora, it's pretty unlikely that's what's going on. What's more likely is that getting paperwork in this country is a pain in the backside, and that's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So I hope this video kind of makes a little bit of sense, gives a bit of context to what we've been hearing, the mudslinging and the name calling. If you do have land here and you've got the Akalu paper and you haven't got the rest of the paperwork, it's just a matter of that you've got, like, you know, here we have like two sets of rules. We have like the secular law, and then we have theocratic law. So it's like, think of it this way. This is a very bad example. It's a good example, but it's not very tasteful, so excuse me. Secular law says that the age of consent is here, and theocratic law says the age of consent is here. So people who go with the theocratic law have a blind eye turned to them when it comes to the civil law. You understand? That same kind of thing works with with land and land purchases. When you have the Akalu paper, that says the chief of that land recognizes you as the landowner. That's all well and good. But outside of that village, the state, they don't recognize you as a landowner. So you can still be in a situation where you have to, you pay your money, you got your Akalu paper, then you've got to go and do the real work, which is getting the government paperwork. It's not easy. It's doable. It's not easy. So come over, give yourself a lot of time to get things done. A lot of time. People come here with 2 weeks. They're like, I got a 2-week holiday, I come to get my land paperwork. You ain't getting nothing. So have a think about coming over. If that's you just get the rest of your paperwork. Come over, give yourself a good amount of time to do that. If you have to, hi. Oh, okay. Ignore me then. If you have to go, if you have to get someone else to help you finish off your land paperwork, then maybe that might be another option. But nothing can get done unless you've got that Akalu paper. If you've got your Akalu paper, you are on the way to getting your land. If you do not have that, you are not on the way to getting your land. And if you don't have the other paperwork, the state don't recognize you as the owner. And I know that us diasporans who are from the States, from Canada, from England or whatever, we don't deal in this kind of, where's that fly going? This kind of wishy-washy, well, he says I do and this person doesn't. No, we deal with what does the state say, and we go by that. That being the case, we have to then understand that purchasing land and only having the Akalu paper is just the start. It means that you are licensed, as it were, to go ahead and get the rest of the paperwork. All right? I hope that helps. Hope this whole long conversation helps. My mouth is tired, but I'm still your brother Marley. I'm still here for servicing you, helping you get to see your dreams come true. That rhymes. I should use that again. I'm here for you to get your dreams come true. I don't know what I said. Let me check the playback. Anyway, peace, y'all. Take care, yeah. All right? Peace.